Hello everyone, welcome to ENbreezEN, the daily current affairs news analysis by Team Enlight. The topics we shall be discussing today are given below. So let's move on to the first topic for today. The first topic for today is inner line permits. So why was this in news? So recently the Arunachal Pradesh government has decided to reopen the tourism sector and hence decided to withdraw the suspension on issuing the ILP and protected area permits to the travellers as the COVID-19 situation in the northeastern state is under control. So what is this ILP? So basically it is a document required by the non-natives to visit or stay in a state that is protected under the ILP system. At present, 4 states are under the ILP system, that is the Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland, and it is also mandatory for entering into Lakshadweep. Both the duration of the stay and the areas allowed to be accessed for any non-native are determined by the ILP itself. The ILP is issued by the concerned state government and can be availed both by applying online or in person. Rationale behind the ILP. The Inner Line Permit is an extension of the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulations Act 1873. After the British occupied the northeast, the colonizers started exploiting the region and its resources for economic benefits. They first started the tea plantations and oil industries in the Brahmaputra valley. Also, they were very concerned about their elephant trade in the northeastern region. The indigenous tribes living in the hill areas would regularly conduct raids into the plains to loot and plunder the tea gardens, the oil rigs, and trading posts set by the British East India Company, and hence this particular law was promulgated as British did not want any interruption in their very profitable trade for tea and elephants, etc. In recent times, this law has continued in the form of ILP in order to preserve the indigenous culture, language, etc. of the indigenous tribal people of the Northeast. So the next topic for today is Draft Electricity Rights of the Consumers Amendment Rules 2021, and this was there in the news because they were recently published in the end of the September. So overview of the new rules. So distribution licensees would have to ensure 24/7 uninterrupted power supply to all consumers so that there is no requirement of running diesel generating sets. Then the Electricity Regulatory Commission could consider a separate reliability charge for the distribution company if it required funds for investment in infrastructure. The State Electricity Regulatory Commission should also make a provision of penalty in the case the standards laid down are not met by the distribution company. So key provisions are the state will have to implement these rules and DISCOMs will have to be held more accountable for issues like delays in providing and renewing the correct connections of the electricity. Also, they are obliged to provide round-the-clock electricity to consumers as per the Ministry of Power. Also, the government will apply penalties that will be credited to the consumer's account, and there are certain exceptions to it. For example, in the case of agricultural purpose electricity usage. So next topic for today is very important in these days, especially since lockdown and people are getting addicted to their phones, etc. The gaming disorder. So the gaming disorder is defined in the 11th revision of the International Classification of Diseases as a pattern of gaming behavior, digital gaming or video gaming characterized by impaired control over gaming, increasing priority given to gaming over other activities to the extent that gaming takes precedence over any other interests and daily activities, and continuation or escalation of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences. And this have become more common in children as they are having their online classes, and most of the times they are consumed by phones, tablets or laptops, etc., and they cannot go outside during COVID and lockdown conditions to the parks, etc., for physical activity. So the background, so the WHO released the 11th revision of the International Classification of Disease in the mid 2018. So what is the ICD? The International Classification of Disease is the basis for identification of the health trends and statistics globally, and the international standards for reporting disease and health conditions. It is used by medical practitioners around the world to diagnose conditions and by researchers to characterize conditions. The inclusion of the disorder ICD is a consideration which countries take into account when planning public health strategies and monitoring trends of the disorder. So this is very important when we are also planning in India our public health strategies, as this has become very common now in especially in the metros, etc. And hence we need to figure out ways where people could use certain de-addiction tablets, or small ways where they are meaningfully consciously trying to put themselves into other activities, for example say cooking, or spending leisure time with family, playing board games like ludo, etc. So let's move on to the next topic, Brahmaputra Heritage Center. So why was this in news? The Brahmaputra River Heritage Center has been set up in a nearly 150-year-old bungalow in Guwahati, Assam. The bungalow used to be the 17th century military office of the Ahom rulers. It was called the Barbhunkanar Tilla, meaning the Barbhunkan's hillock. So this was a post equivalent to Governor General created by the Ahom king Pratap Simha or Susen Fa. The hillock, as mentioned in ancient scriptures as the Mandrachal, was from where the Ahom general launched the Battle of Sarai Ghat in 1671 to inflict the most crushing defeat on the Mughals. And the Sarai Ghat is regarded as the greatest naval battle ever fought in a river. So, thank you so much for listening and have a great day ahead.